The first traditional mile-and-a-half on the IORA Cup Series schedule is once again Kansas Speedway. Tornado Alley has once again found itself as the very first chance for drivers to test their intermediate speed in a campaign that is chock full of mile-and-a-half tracks. We went to Atlanta, but of course now reconfigured as a miniature super speedway. The principle of racing at that track is much different than what you'll see tonight in Kansas City. Expect a lot more like this in the future. Welcome to 120 lap feature down south. This is the IORA Cup Series, and we're visiting the heart of Tornado Alley tonight, Kansas Speedway, for race 5 of season 6. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz. I'm commentating and producing from flag to flag as it's a doubleheader night live on FTN. Highline Racing League will be coming live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and of course qualifying just got started. 2 drivers so far have taken a time, and we'll go downstairs to see who is next to come, as Jim Thurston currently has himself the provisional pole position of the 3 now that have taken a qualifying lap. Each driver gets 1 lap to set, and right now Hunter Bogdan in the number 86 will be on his way. Multiple drivers going to be making their first starts of the season. Hunter Bogdan is one of which we have not seen yet at these intermediates, so a good opportunity for him to get himself settled in, working on the higher grooves right now that number 86 is. And Bogdan up next on the circuit. It looks like after him will be the driver of the number 17 in Michael Deitch. Across the line, Hunter Bogdan sets a 31.655. That lap is good for third. Michael Deitch up next in the number 17. Every driver only getting 1 lap in this session tonight, so no matter who the driver is, it just depends on whether or not they took a qualifying time. Of course, in practice as well. You need to put 1 lap in practice to take a qualifying time, and right now, Michael Deitch, one of the many that have done just that. Deitch will be the 5th driver to take a time, and as he comes across the stripe, no incident, and a solid enough lap to put him just ahead of Marcus Vanderlee. That lap time will slot in as 4th as Bryce Kohler gets on the way. There's the number 21, and now almost entirely jet black. Bryce gets on the way for his first and only lap. Bryce going to decide to work the high groove here, something we saw last season at the intermediate tracks. Maybe an opportunity for the nighttime setting to play in a little bit differently for drivers, as it will be a completely different setting when it comes to weather compared to the last time we were in Kansas. You might remember in season 4 when Jim Thurston won at this circuit, it was a daytime race, which came down to in large part tire saving and fuel saving. Tonight, with nighttime conditions, it might be slightly different. Bryce Kohler, P4, as a Beaver Serrano now gets on the way. 13 minutes left in qualifying here for every driver to take their time. It looks like 23 drivers have registered so far, more of which are still to come. And perhaps now as the race progresses, we're going to see more drivers adapting their strategy to fit the long racing. But so far, practice being brief, qualifying being even shorter, I don't think that the times you're going to see right now will be representative of who has the pace as the night goes on. Jim Thurston shot up to the top of the board, and it looks like Beaver Serrano will be right behind. Beaver gets up to 2nd here, and up next on the order, it looks like Chase Schaefer and Marcus Vanderlee going to be putting some power down. Chase Schaefer, though, will be the next driver to take a lap. As Schaefer gets on the way, we are once again going in reverse practice orders. So right now for the number 99 of Schaefer, we find him at about the halfway point of our lineup here when it comes to drivers who have taken a time and those who have not. He was able to put it down on the board, a 30.905 in practice, which would be good for the pole position in this race. At least for now anyway, ahead of Jim Thurston and the like. Maybe a chance for him to put that power down in just 1 lap remains to be seen. Coming across the line, it'll be now Chase Schaefer, the one and only on the way. Next up is yet to be determined, as the 99 now has sole possession of the racetrack. Aiden Walker is going to be on deck, slowly but surely rolling out of pit road, and it looks like Jason Sametto is as well. We'll first see from Jason, and it looks like Aiden Walker pulls up a little bit further. Chase Schaefer decided to use the bottom move as his preferred line, especially now through turns 3 and 4, arcing up traditionally to the high side and not making any other changes. Across the line, 12.05. That's going to be Chase Schaefer with a 30.746, good for pole and faster than his quickest practice time. Thurston with some major improvements. That gets him up to the top of the board. And now Jason Semedo going to be on the way, the rookie this season. And right now for the number 12, well, it's his one and only lap. Let's see what he can do with it. Having to follow up a great act, and Chase Schaefer collecting the pole position in just a lap's time. Chase is ahead by 0.3 of a second over the rest of the field. And now as Semedo passes by that number 99, perhaps a chance for this 12 team to make it up to the top of the charts himself. Across the line for Jason Semedo, 31.031 is a time that is good for provisionally second place. Up next is Aiden Walker in the number 93. Walker now going to be on the move. 10 drivers have taken a time, including Aiden Walker's attempt here and now. The field is spread by some 2 seconds. You'll go all the way back to the tail end with a driver like Marcus Vanderlee. And then, of course, you have your leaders, Schaefer, Semedo, and Thurston. Jason looking for a strong qualifying run. And, of course, this rookie has not gotten a lot of racing in so far with these IORA drivers, looking to make an impact in his early career. At the line, Aiden Walker, 30.92, will take the second spot. And now, runner-up, it'll be Corbin Collins, another rookie, on his way as well. Corbin Collins right now in the number 71, doing a fantastic job in his first 2 starts. He had his debut, of course, in Watkins Glen, and now comes up next at Bristol, and he was very strong. Top 5 in qualifying, he had the pace to go there, and up next, the number 71 is here in Tornado Alley. As he comes across the line, he'll be give or take 2 or 3 seconds, or tenths of a second, off of your pole sitter Schaefer, based on final estimates. And at the stripe, it will be telling. Corbin Collins quick, but just not enough to get to Schaefer, nor Aiden Walker. It's going to be 3rd place right now for Corbin, with Nathan Palawada on the way in the 78s. Each driver getting one and only opportunity to, of course, set a good time here, so they better make the most of it. As it stands, it looks like Palawada is going to be very calm and comfortable when it comes to the way he's putting it down. The American ethanol back straightaway. Daniel Mosteller is going to be on deck here, so already the most successful driver on the season is looking to back up the success we've seen so far. Demos has been, simply put, dominant in these opening 4 races, collecting, of course, 2 victories and maybe trying to keep that 50% win rate all throughout. Nathan up to 2nd, almost a 10th of a second off of Chase Schaefer, and now Demos might just be a real threat to take that pole position away. Notice that Mosteller is going to be ripping the high side exclusively, much like Nathan Palawada did, but the difference now will be how extreme that cutting close line will be. It looks like through turns 3 and 4, cutting it close with the paint groove all the way down to nearly the apron. Daniel Mosteller's lap is a tale of 2 extremes, and at the line, it'll be an extremely quick time. 30.705 is good for the pole position by 1/1000th of a second. Mosteller up to the top of the charts. River Page might be the final real threat to take that away from him. So Demos now has the pole position. Chase Schaefer only 1/1000th of a second behind. And up next is going to be River here, running a very similar line through 1 and 2, as he will into turns 2 and 3, and of course 4 alike. You can see a little bit higher up, about a half groove higher than that of Mosteller. That might cost him, and at the line I don't think River will be in competition for the pole. Solid lap, but it's only good enough for 3rd as a result. So River up to P3. Michael Mitchum, the 15-year-old rookie for Elite Performance Industries, makes his way down to the track tonight as a first-time driver here in IORA. It's going to be pink and black for the driver, the number 38, and so a different look for the 38 team and a different driver at that. Michael Mitchum now looking to make an impact and maybe go up against the likes of Demos and Schaefer. Very similar line to your top 3 drivers in qualifying. I think he's going to have a chance now to match or best them. Coming across the start-finish line from Michael Mitchum, 30.676 is quicker, and it will grab the pole position. 69/1000ths of a second. Mike Mitchum, the final driver to take a lap in qualifying in his first ever race, grabs the pole. Qualifying has concluded, and a series of upsets. Top 3 spread out by 71/1000ths of a second. Pole position taken by Mike Mitchum. And so the track falls quiet once again. Kansas Speedway, home to our racing here for 120 laps or 180 miles. A little bit longer than most of the racing we've done at intermediates in IORA's past. And so drivers will have a chance to flesh out their strategy that much more. Let's take a look at that starting grid for tonight's lineup and figure out the who's who. We've got some great newcomers who might be threats for victory from flag to flag. And first and foremost, you got to talk about that number 38, Mike Mitchum, pole position for Race EPI, and Daniel Mosteller, the championship leader, once again finding himself on the front row of 30.745, good for second. You got then Chase Schaefer in third and River Page in fourth, with Nathan Palawada rounding out the top five, and Aiden Walker then and there in the sixth position. Corbin Collins is going to be one of the first season rookies on the starting grid. He'll be alongside the number 12 and his fellow rookie Jason Sametto, fourth row, 7th and 8th, the first two drivers not to make it under 31 seconds in time. Then you had Jim Thurston in 9th and Beaver Serrano in 10th, last of which in the top 10, the number 66 getting another strong qualifying performance. 11th place will be Aaron Schugel with Hunter Bogdan, then in 12th, and Bryce Kohler will be in P13. Michael Deitch, 14th place, and then Marcus Vanderlee will be in 15th. Jacob Wilkerson, the first driver not to take a time, will start 16th place, with Sean Rose 17th and Alexander Balderas then 18th position. Zach Trevino will be 19th, and then Brandon Dugan will conclude the top 20, with your final drivers from there going as follows. 21st place going to be the 05 of Cooper Glick, the final driver to register in this session. Additionally, then you have the triple-digit threat, the 006 of Jacques Carter and Connor Marabelli in the 00. Braxton Whitaker's number 51 will be the 24th and last driver on the starting grid here from Tornado Alley. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway. It's time to go racing here in Kansas, and it'll be a whirlwind night. That is your starting grid for race 5. Drivers now getting away. Kansas Speedway, one of the newest intermediate circuits all throughout stock car racing. Opened in 2001, has been used ever since. Now 25 years of action at this circuit. Might not be historic, but well accustomed to by drivers and a local fan favorite in the area. Track temperature coming in at 73 degrees Fahrenheit with relative humidity at 46.8%. Clear skies and very calm conditions overall, with minimal difference between ambient and track temperature. Drivers should not have to be all too concerned about tire performance early on. However, if these long runs become prominent, that's definitely when things of strategic nature come into play. And so now, Mike Mitchum, for the first time in his IORA Cup Series career, will be the driver with the pole, and he'll have a chance to lead the field, including championship leader Daniel Mosteller, as we come across the start-finish line. Mike Mitchum, the rookie's got a chance to now go all the way, but first he's got to start strong. Green flag's out now for the number 38 as he's side-by-side with Daniel Mosteller. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. We're underway here in Season 6. And a little bit of squeamish racing there in the mid-pack. You might have seen Aiden Walker going to get very loose coming out of turn 4, but all things considered, he's still in one piece, and that is what matters now. Back of the field going to be very tight side by side, including Sean Rowe going down nearly to the apron of the track, trying to make a move around. Now both Marcus Vanderlee and Beaver Serrano. Beaver quick with some momentum on the high side, also bringing Jacob Wilkerson there with a lot of strong drivers getting caught up at the tail end of the field, 20 of which are going to take the green flag tonight, and so unfortunately a few drivers did not start this event, 3 of which are going to sit on pit road as a result. Hopefully we'll see the rest of the field come back together, but now Marcus Vanderlee is going to drop even further low. It looks like not going to have the best of control coming out of the corners here, perhaps pushing a little bit too hard, giving up another set of spots. Jacob Wilkerson now 12th. Sean Rowe is up to 11th, and now making moves on the rookie ahead of him in Jason Semedo. Perhaps a chance he makes a pass on number 12 in due time if he's got the pace. Mike Mitchum decides to lie back, and so even though he took the pole position, now he's going to let those extra drivers, of course, ahead get back to work and take these first few laps from him. And in all honesty, I believe this will be a strategic time for drivers to lay back. Why not let other drivers be a little bit more aggressive in front of you and waste their equipment? I think that's the mindset right now for Mike Mitchum, is he's not doing, of course, a bad job of keeping up with the leaders, but definitely a more calculated approach in waiting, lap after lap, biding his time, and hoping for the opportunity, of course, for these drivers to reel themselves back in. Don't have to do all the work yourself, of course, if these drivers decide to be a little bit less patient than you are. Now it's just all about finding the right opportunity to pounce. And that time, of course, will be now for some drivers to be aggressive. River Page, perhaps not pleased with that starting position, not going to be inside the podium at the very beginning of this race, and so now he's on his way up. So far, some minor gains, of course, from 5th up to 4th on the day, up +1, and now coming up on Mike Mitchum, which is going to give him +2. Not many positions to be gained for River Page, of course, still starting in the top 5, yes, but podium bound is where he'd like to be, although he gets loose now trying to pass Mitchum and going to lose all that momentum midway through the corner. As such, the number 38 machine rides high and will have a chance to fight back through the first 2 corners, and I think now, with River Page making that one slight mistake, it'll only be easier if Mike Mitchum lets off as he just did. Additionally, Nathan Palawada going to be P5. 6th place is Jim Thurston. 8th, Walker. 7th, Corbin Collins. 8th, Aaron Schugel is in 9th, with Sean Rowe then in 10th. Like right now, Sean Rowe is going to be the 10th and last driver, of which within a 4-second bracket between race leader and right now that number 19. Aaron Schugel facing the pressure from Rowe as well. Sean so far making gains and now trying to get inside of that single-digit category oh so early. Sean's going to go up top, going to leave Aaron Schugel down to the bottom, and so both drivers going to go their separate ways. Lines are going to be chosen, different lines at that, and right now every driver getting into a little bracket with a few drivers, no big packs here, and for the first time all season long, drivers are not clustered up. Instead, you find your own pace and you work with it for the majority of the night. Side by side now, it's going to be Jacob Wilkerson and Jason Semedo toe-to-toe as we come for lap number 10 next time through. Jason Semedo going to ride that top side. Jacob Wilkerson is going to get away, though, and it looks like the bottom groove preferential when you're on the attack. Furthermore, Beaver Serrano with a fast and all number 66. Well, he's got himself now in the mix as well. Beaver having a starting spot of 10th tonight, down 3 positions to this point, and perhaps looking for a recovery as the night goes on. You don't want to be all too aggressive to begin your racing, of course, but for Beaver Serrano, perhaps right now is a chance to once again redeem himself and put a few positions back up on the board. Mixing that aggression, of course, with strategy as the race progresses is the big question. We have a fuel cell limit of 80% here in the IORA Cup Series, and as a result, not every race can be made on simple strategy. Strategy calls tonight most likely going to be 2 pit stops, one at lap 40, one at lap 80. We are not expecting to see a one-stop race, and it looks like unless drivers get the perfect brakes when it comes to cautions, a one-stopper is going to be practically impossible as the night goes on. So don't expect for drivers to be anticipating to stretch it to 60 laps. Maybe some will try to stretch it to 45 or even 50, but anything beyond that is almost entirely unrealistic. Alexander Balderas is going to be 2 laps down, and he's the first driver to get back on the track after, of course, missing the start. 20 drivers took the initial green flag. Alexander Balderas now gets on the way 2 laps down, so he has slightly younger rubber, should be able to outrun the likes of which, including Daniel Mosteller, further back in the frame, and of course, River Page now in 3rd there too. The podium sitters are still running quick laps, and Although Alexander Balderas is a tenth of a second quicker, he might slowly but surely see that power fade out, as he's definitely right now trying to keep himself where he is, only 2 down. Lucky dog material? Not quite, but if the number 006 continues to have trouble, maybe so. Carter already going to come down to pit road once again, and it's going to be his second trip down and in now. That would give Alexander Balderas the opportunity to become the lucky dog driver on the day. So Carter makes it through for a pit stop number 2. Alexander Balderas going to be coming up next, and so here comes the 95. One more pass is necessary for Balderas to assume the 20th place, and of course now driver's going to be set 1 lap further down as Carter makes it into pit road, already 2 laps down as it stands for both he and the 95 of Alexander Balderas. Number 99 of Chase Schaefer finding himself right now in position number 2. Second place right now for Schaefer. He's let Daniel Mosteller lead the opening portion of the night. And interesting to see now the number 87 and 99 come together to battle at the opening portion of this event. You've seen a few changes in the leading pylon. Michael Mitchum going to go down into the 4th spot, and it looks like he's about a second and a half back. Question becomes, of course, whether or not he will end up quicker. Right now he's running relatively the exact same lap times on a lap over lap basis. Gains have not been made, but he definitely is not losing any more time. So right now, controlling those losses, it's going to be critical, because I don't believe this race will come down to raw pace early. Definitely going to come down more so to biding your time. One driver in a little bit of trouble, Bryce Kohler, going to slide but get back on the way. And now the number 21 is down into 18th place, although it looks like no incident will come with. And every driver once again will get away unscathed under green. Chase Schaefer now within a tenth of a second here of leader Mosteller down the back straightaway. Lunging slightly lower, but I think now he knows there's no really any chance for him to make that pass. So come up to the higher side of the track again and wait for the opportunity. Demos goes low, Schaefer goes a little bit higher, and they're still going to trade positions back and forth on the track, as though, of course, the battle remains active. Mosteller decided to occupy that high side here, letting Chase Schaefer go low, perhaps saving a little bit of tire now for Demos, as he understands that further on back as the lapper of Braxton Nuisa almost got in the way. Mike Mitchum is going to get through. Braxton now going to be far out of sight, but you saw Whitaker nearly come up to the 87, and that's going to psych him out. And you can see now Chase Schaefer to the 87 quarter panel makes it a side-by-side affair. Now it's going to be Chase Schaefer down low and dead even, and maybe able to clear the number 87, but not enough momentum. And so now, toe-to-toe, they'll go once again. 99 is Schaefer, the 87 to Daniel Mosteller have led the way so far tonight, and Mike Mitchum has made up about a tenth of a second so far in the last 3 laps. Maybe a sign of things still to come, but Chase Schaefer's not going to be worrying about that rear view mirror at all. New race leader, 99 is Schaefer. He's got it up and ahead now of Daniel Mosteller, but only by some 5/1000ths of a second. Take a look at what's going on further back. That's going to be River Page, of course, finding himself here in 3rd. He's going to be ahead now of Mike Mitchum, of course, but hasn't quite been able to make the move to step up to the level of that of Mosteller or Chase Schaefer alike. Question becomes now, of course, what's River Page going to do now that he has taken the 3rd position? He had to work to get up here, but he's got to work even harder to make it up a few further spots. So 19 laps in out of 120, make it 20 laps in, and it's already halfway through our first pit cycle. So it means now the tire wear and fatigue is going to become that much more evident. Last time by for River Page, he ran a 32.134, his fastest lap overall, a 30.946. So more than a second and a half of fall off over the course of only 20 laps, and we've just started this first run, and there's still much more to come. Aiden Walker going to be here with Braxton Whitaker. Then you have Jim Thurston going at it toe-to-toe with a lapper here in Brennan Dugan. And And perhaps Thurston going to be coming up on Mike Mitchum. Maybe an opportunity for Dugan to help him out in making it through, threading the needle, because right now, while Mitchum remains close, it also looks like Thurston is gaining at the same time. Mike Mitchum, over the last 4 laps, has been able to gain a total now of 0.3 of a second on your race leader in Chase Schaefer, and it looks like more is still to come. Across the line this time by, gains are estimated to be about 1.5, and as he comes through for lap number 22, that looks to be exactly the case. 1.19 second now back, and Mike Mitchum at this rate making up 0.2 of a second would be at the race leading helm by about lap number 30 here. So watch out for Mike Mitchum as he's getting closer and closer and starting to bring those numbers down for the race lead. As Daniel Mosteller and Chase Schaefer continue to battle one another, the real threats are now behind Page, Mitchum, and maybe even Jim Thurston. Might see a 3 or 4 car battle for the race lead of these drivers further on back, continue to hold their weight and then some. Demos to the top side, continue to try to get that momentum down the back straightaway. Chase Schaefer cutting distance. He's going to be on the underbelly of the circuit. Now Mike Mitchum's first challenge is, of course, going to be getting by the number 24 of River Page. With Thurston still on, looking the Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport drivers are running 3rd and 5th respectively. Last time we went to this circuit, Jim Thurston was the race winner, but right now outclassed by a select few drivers just ahead. Mike Mitchum being one of which is now coming up on his teammate, and this is where we might see the team element come into play. How aggressive will River Page be trying to defend against the number 38? Is he going to give a hard time to Mike Mitchum, or will he just simply let him by? That's the big question here, and I think it's a what if that every driver has to hold on their mind here. Is it worth it to defend in the second half of these fuel strategy runs? Because 24 in out of 120, you know you're not going to go till lap 60 on a stint. Now we're already in that second half of the run. Whether drivers go to lap number 40 or lap number 50, we're on the dying end of stint number 1, which means now either you back it down or you just keep on going. Maybe the advantage is to be aggressive here and try to get that track position coming into pit road. But there's, of course, the pros and cons that come with that mentality. But I think right now, River Page is the perfect example of hitting the gas pedal now in the final 10 to 15 laps of a stint. Gap between Page and leader, 0.4 of a second, the closest it's been all race long. And you can see over the last 4 laps that River's been able to cut that gap by just about 1.5. And just 1/10 of a second like that can make a huge difference. It might not seem like much by the numbers, but he was as far away as 0.62 seconds back 3 laps ago. So in all honesty, River Page had to cut down 0.2 of a second in 2 laps here, and he's looking to be about as quick as Mike Mitchum, if not slightly faster. Chase Schaefer again takes the overall race lead, which puts Daniel Mosteller on the chopping block here. If Page has enough speed to prevail, well, he's gotten even closer, and it's dangerously close now for the number 87, who will have to continue looking back. Jay Schaefer right now, 27 laps in out of 120, leading again. He's going to have to burn up a little bit more fuel, but at the same time, he's got a little bit of protection if River Page and the like decide to continue coming for him. River going to be up to the ceiling, as is Mike Mitchum now as they make their way out of turn 4, and everyone going to run in unison together as Daniel Mosteller brings that draft up for Page. River going to look a little bit higher, can't quite finish the job. Instead, he looks about a car length lower, and the track filled with groove tonight. We've seen drivers go all the way up to the ceiling and down to the wall. Demos loose. He'll have to defend on the bottom now as River Page comes chock full of momentum. And with them, Mike Mitchum now has the best seat in the house. Perhaps a chance now for Mitchum to put a little bit more pressure on the 87 of Mosteller, and that he will. Side by side, and now speeding ahead. River Page up to second. Mike Mitchum now looking for third. River going to be clear for P2. Mike Mitchum now going to be clear for P3. Talk about a wonderful pass, and that's all that it comes down to, forcing a mistake out of another driver. Daniel Mosteller going to make one slight slip up, and all of a sudden he finds himself with the tail end of the leading party. Taking a ride on board now with the number 87 of Daniel Mosteller. You see that number 38. That's going to be Mike Mitchum just ahead. Leader Chase Schaefer, of course, still going to be within arm's reach, but slowly but surely, that's going to change as well. I think now you're going to see Daniel Mosteller fade away until pit road becomes a little bit more prominent. We're going to see now Demo struggle further with his run. And going to try to hold that handling together out of the exits of each and every corner. Demos now fading back. Mike Mitchum remains in third. River Page is in second, but that's going to change here and now as the number 24 looks low. River Page is going to go up to the ceiling no longer. He's going to let Chase Schaefer do the honors and lead him all the way up top. Instead now, River going to get some contact from Mike Mitchum, and very close call between the both of which right there at a speed of 140 plus miles an hour. A little bit of nudging back and forth. Mitchum going to back off, and it looks like Page is going to get away. The both of which hang tough and collect, of course, each other's dues. Wasn't really an incident, but everyone understands now you can't push through the corner, but at the same time, you cannot push when someone's turning on the straight, both of which are equally dangerous. And as such now, running down the back straightaway, Mike Mitchum, River Page coming together, 32 laps in out of 120, about a quarter of the way through so far. Chase Schaefer still has the opportunity here to lead, and he is using it to the best of his ability. And Chase Schaefer is seen from just behind him. River Page, in addition, Mike Mitchum and Daniel Mosteller as well, all of which have tried to push hard to get that race lead from him, but it looks like with one slight error, Schaefer losing a whole load of momentum. Now you'll see River Page get that much closer, and it looks like while Schaefer collects himself, an odd drift up the high side of the circuit could have been the be-all, end-all. Nevertheless, Schaefer has seen the drivers behind him play a far more aggressive game to make it up into the fight for the lead. Meanwhile, Chase Schaefer has been here from the jump since the very beginning. He had the opportunity, of course, to start up and ahead of the field, and as a result now he's continuing to succeed without having to worry all too much about, of course, damaging his equipment, and of course having to wear out those tires a little bit more so just by fighting harder to be here. River Page is at the battle hard, but he's knowing, of course, now that he shows no signs of fatigue. He's got to keep Mike Mitchum just on his back end, and he's got to keep Chase Schaefer within arm's reach if he wants any chance to win this race. The first stint will determine everything about the rest of this night. Whether or not, of course, it goes to plan for these drivers, well, you're going to see them fall in one of two directions. Going toward the checkered flag with sights on success, or maybe a lap or two down, falling out of favor. And contact again, Mike Mitchum getting it significantly more loose this time, though, and he's going to be the driver that has to pick it up once more. Mike Mitchum sliding, but he keeps it together once again, although now River Page goes toe-to-toe with Chase Schaefer. River Page on the bottom side, Chase Schaefer right up top. And well, it looks like at the line it will be still Chase Schaefer just barely leading. River Page is the here and now, and it's evident that he's got himself a position to maybe make up a few more spots. Toe-to-toe now with almost some slight contact. Chase Schaefer and River Page are going to find themselves first and second up at the top of the board. Mike Mitchum is still going to be right there with, but as it stands, the advantage is going to be held by the number 99. River Page has gotten close and even made it side by side, but as it stands, still little to be made of it here for the number 24. He's still in second, but he hasn't quite gotten the job done to, of course, take the race lead. Now, if Chase Schaefer looks behind him, side by side, Mike Mitchum already made his way through. And now it's going to be toe-to-toe for the runner-up spot, and with the best seat in the house, Chase Schaefer has to be loving what he's seeing in the rearview mirror. A major distraction for both drivers. River Page and Mike Mitchum, they are going to be fighting toe-to-toe with one another. Just like that, River Page is going to find himself second. Mike Mitchum is there in third. Fourth place is still going to be Daniel Mosteller, but this is going to cost both the number 24 and 38 a whole lot of time. As it stands, it's going to be River Page P2, Mike Mitchum P3, fourth Daniel Mosteller, but now Jim Thurston is coming up on the 87. Take a look now as it's going to be Thurston looking right down low for an opportunity to take this pass and find himself just outside the podium. Jim Thurston watching on board them right now, working the high side and navigating it up top. Meanwhile, he's got Daniel Mosteller now behind him and below him on the pylon. And a fantastic job there for, of course, the number 96 team, waiting an awful long time to have this opportunity to get up into the fourth spot. Demos is falling back, and it looks like for his sake, really not much time. It's going to be until we go down to pit road. It's going to help him out as, of course, now the cycle begins. 40 laps in, Corbin Collins comes in, as does Alexander Balderas, Aaron Schugel, and Cooper Glick. So the first drivers to make it in are going to come from the back end of the field, and it looks like trying to split this in the exact 40-40 strategy that we suggested at the top of the broadcast. And now you can see a big change in approach. Of course, caution's going to come out. Yellow flag flies. Daniel Mosteller looks to be the one involved. Take a look back now. Demos with some damage here. And the instant replay will show you what caused it. Hunter Bogdan, he tried to slide away from and ends up in the wall. Take a look back one more time here as we'll get additional footage of the incident. The 87 of Daniel Mosteller looked to be coming down a pit road and had to get away from Hunter Bogdan, who dove down to the bottom and looked to do so out of control. Number 87 is going to have to just get out of the way, and unfortunately that smacks him up on the high side. Caution is out as a result. 41 laps in out of 120. Yellow flag will fly for the first time tonight. Caution is out here in Kansas, and so we're going to see drivers heading down a pit road momentarily. Schaefer going to be your race leader, and the rest of the field coming on down and in. It looks like almost every driver, this will give the lucky dog to Alexander Balderas, as Bogdan was involved in that incident. And so now it's going to be Chase Schaefer, River Page and company leading in. Let's find out who, of course, has the chance to lead out and get the jump off of pit road. Aaron Schugel passing now right by, but it looks like Chase Schaefer is again the winner off of pit road. It'll be Schaefer, Mike Mitchum, Jim Thurston, and then it'll be Wilkerson, Aiden Walker, Nathan Palawadon and company then on back as the final components of the top 10. So far, so good for the number 99 as Schaefer. This will be our first pit stop of the day, and in all honesty, it comes as almost a freebie. Next pit stop cycle should be relatively similar. You might see drivers now go up to, give or take, lap 90 at the absolute most. That still remains to be seen, of course, and that depends on how these drivers approach the next set of laps. 42 laps in out of 120, and of course with a lot of racing still to come on tonight, you're watching live on FTN. And if you'd like to join the FTN community, well, scan the QR code on your screen and you can figure out when we race, which leagues are racing on which nights. Tonight is going to be a doubleheader. The Highline Racing League going to be going up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and the IORA Cup Series, well, you're watching it right now. And to start the evening, we've always got IORA, a late night special with the Highline Racing League, as they will be going to another 1.5-mile circuit tonight. 43 laps in out of 120. Check out the FTN Broadcasting Discord server and join us live on FTN, as now we're just about 1.5 laps away from going green. Very similar top 5, but the big mover, it looks to be Jacob Wilkerson, who started in 16th and is now up to the highest spot he's been in all night long. Talk about some gains. Well, the number 43 now is advantageous. It'll be Wilkerson now up there in 5th, the best he's looked all night long. Got Aiden Walker then 6th, Nathan Palawada 7th. Talking about some other drivers who have gained from 21st on the grid up to 14th. Cooper Glick in the 05 machine is up there. Now maybe a chance to go for a top 10 run in the SKS Graphic Chevrolet. Corbin Collins 7th to 15th, so admittedly he's been on a bit of a downturn tonight. Maybe an opportunity for him to recover. Jason Sametto 16th up to 8th, and it looks like, well, he's going to go back down and in and finding himself down to 16th yet again. A back and forth day for him, but one thing's for certain, Chase Schaefer has been the dominant man so far and will lead your first restart of the day. It was almost a full pit cycle without interruption, but unfortunately at the last moment, we'll go back at it again and fix things up. "44 laps in, out of 120, nearly halfway here from one of the windiest cities in the country. It's not America, of course, when it comes to Chicago being the windy city, but it's a little bit different here in Kansas. The winds, well, they're not just, of course, notable. They sometimes end up being torrential. And here, of course, Tornado Alley, we see whirlwinds of racing, and luckily that incident wasn't all too major. Daniel Mosteller swept up the track, but he put himself back together, and all things considered, Demos will still be racing inside the top 10. You see him on the high side of the circuit right now after he took his one and only faster pair on the night. Looking not to replicate that incident, your championship leader now finds himself a little bit further back. So now, race leader, the number 24 of River Page. On the high side, no longer. It'll be Chase Schaefer, though, the control car up top. Green flag's going to fly with the number 99 holding fort. Back up in the front again. It'll be Schaefer and River Page getting through 1-2. Much stronger start there for Aiden Walker. Schaefer once again going to find himself as the leader of the line up at the head of the field. Single file has been prominent all night long. Haven't seen all too much aggression inside the top 5 or 10 placements, and even then, side by side, hasn't been all too typical. So Daniel Mosteller is going to do something different as he now takes it 3 wide on the bottom side. 46 laps in at a 120, and that's about the most daring move we've seen out of a winning contender all night long. Demos makes the move and now takes it down the back straightaway all over again, and he's got himself up into 6th now. Jim Thurston will be the next target, of course. Let's see what he can do from here. Mosteller just behind now. Thurston in the top 5. Jacob Wilkerson 7th. Beaver Serrano 8th. Then, of course, now you have Sean Rowe. He's going to find himself the last driver in the top 10. You'll see that distance separation now between Serrano and Sean Rowe. It looks like about half a second right now, but it could continue to expand. Alexander Balderas is going to be allowed back on the lead lap, and it looks like he gets 2 laps back in that one caution, finding himself up to 13th, the highest position he's run in all night long. Balderas was not able to set a time early in the race. Of course, no attempt in qualifying, and now going to be on the redemption arc. Alexander Balderas, number 95 machine in 12th. Corbin Collins, number 71 machine 11th. So on and so forth. The field holding strong. River Page right now, he's going to be fighting for the race win. Side by side, 24 down low. Chase Schaefer up top. And it's going to be now the number 24 new race leader, River Page, up and ahead. Maybe now for Chase Schaefer, this could be strategic. As he saw with the battle, of course, with Daniel Mosteller and Schaefer alike, Demos led a fair chunk of laps. It's not like Chase Schaefer led every lap in that battle. In all honesty, far from it. Instead, the number 99 machine was only capable of leading about half of those laps, but he led those that mattered, and in all honesty, did a wonderful job, of course, in keeping himself up at the head of the field while trailing the 87. Dirty air and all, didn't seem to be a significant impact, and now going to be back behind the number 38 machine, Michael Mitchum, finding himself up to 2nd, the highest spot he's been in all night long since taking the pole position. Mitchum started in 1st, but has not run there throughout tonight's festivities. Side by side, Aaron Schugel going to go around back of the field. 91 goes sliding, but he keeps it straight. Looks like no caution will be called. Schugel going to be far off the racing groove. Yellow flag flies regardless. It's your second caution of the day. Caution number 2. Let's take a look back now and figure out what caused it. That's the back of the field. Alexander Balderas, Corbin Collin, and then Aaron Schugel got involved with one another. And let's see what happens here. Schugel running up high, then wiggles up into Collin, and looks like when Corbin shot him back down the track, a 360. No other drivers involved as collateral, just a minor instance, and the 91 with minimal damage. The back end bent up slightly, the tires are scuffed, but Aaron should be able to continue despite that yellow flag, of course, and the incident. We'll go back in racing in just a few laps time. So, caution's going to be out. Mike Mitchum is going to decide to swerve right up the track and stay on the circuit. Chase Schaefer, Jim Thurston, and company behind, though, we're going to do something different and go in for their second cycle of the day. A lot of drivers here are going to take that chance to just top off, get themselves a little bit more fuel, and this might be the difference between going to lap 90 or so and then going to lap 100. A perfect opportunity for drivers, if we have another caution or two from here, would be, of course, to continue taking advantage of consistent yellow flags. If we have a yellow flag after lap 70 or so, after lap 80 as a definite, drivers will be able to make it all the way on fuel. Alexander Balderas is now going to come out and make a few positions up quickly. That will move Balderas up into a high now of 7th. And because of that, well, he only took himself fuel. No tires, just gas for the 95. Balderas up the highest position he's been in all night long is going to beat everyone out, including the likes of Chase Schaefer, Jason Semedo, Jim Thurston, and company then on back. River Page is your race leader. Mike Mitchum is in second. Jacob Wilkerson, then and there, finds himself in third. And it's wonderful to see, of course, right now, drivers putting themselves back together. Minor incident, both of our cautions, so everyone should be able to keep on going without much else to make of it. Jason Semedo comes down a pit road once again, and we are getting the signal now. It'll be 1 lap to green next time by. 52 laps in out of 120 so far here in the IORA Cup Series. We'll go back green at lap number 55. The opening portion of this race, it went by rather fast. Those first 40 laps before caution, now 2 cautions in the last 15 laps. Hopefully from this point onward, things can be a little bit cleaner as the night progresses. Second half of the race is just ahead of us here, and this is when cautions, of course, could impact the flow of the event and, of course, the flow of strategy, but this could also be the time for things to smoothen out, and we'll have a much better chance, of course, of succeeding as the night progresses. River Page, your leader. Michael Mitchum, second. Jacob Wilkerson, third. Sean Rowe, fourth. Michael Deitch is in fifth. Your top 5 drivers, and the only ones of which who decided not to go down a pit road last time by, so an unpopular decision to forego that second pit stop, and perhaps now you're going to see a little bit of a difference in approach as something of contention, but I don't think it's going to be much contention. The drivers who are on new rubber and those who went down a pit road are going to have the advantage. They'll have now fuel and they'll have tire, and it looks like the difference of 10 laps is a big deal across a long run, because we mentioned 20 laps into a run, tire fall off is more than a second and a half. So, to lose more than a second each and every lap compared to your competitors, not a good look. And, of course, it's not going to feel great because these drivers will be passed by rapidly if, of course, they don't get another quick caution maybe to help them out. And it might be the correct judgment call, but for now, the odds are stacked against those who decided to stay out on track. Heading back to green now under 10 laps from our halfway point, 55 out of 120 when we go at it once again. Watching Michael Deitch here is in the highest spot he's been in all night long. He is in 5th, and just behind a sea of race-winning contenders, Michael Deitch has had to go on his way up alone. No teammates for him to, of course, be surrounded by. Henry Kaloff Racing was expected to put him 2 drivers tonight. However, Michael Kormetis not able to make it in for his first start of the campaign. As a result, it's going to be a lonely drive now for Michael Deitch, and he is up and in front, looking to compete, of course, and compete once again with the best of the drivers at the head of the field. River Page going to lead this restart on old rubber, and he'll get away just fine. Green flags out, tire squealing for Michael Deitch. The rest of the field will get away. Alexander Balderas up the track. Big incident. Chase Schaefer involved. Among others, drivers sliding down the circuit. Sean Rowe caught up too. Yellow flag is out for another big wreck. It's your 3rd of the day. Take a look back here and try to get a more precise understanding of what just happened. The 99 and Chase Schaefer getting shot up the circuit, and there had to be a reason. Well, this is why. Taking a look now through turns 1 and 2, 3 wide. Chase Schaefer up top. Alexander Balderas contact hooked up by Thurston, then into Schaefer and Sean Rowe. Schaefer's going to slide. Cooper Glick also went into the wall ever so slightly, as did Nathan Palawada. Caution is out, and so just like that, 56 laps into the 120, your 3rd caution. And now only 20 laps. Not good, as Sean Rowe is going to go at it here with Chase Schaefer side by side, making contact with one another. And ever so briefly, minor contact is going to bring us closer and closer to pit road. Another bunch of drivers have to come down in and get their fast repairs. River Page is one of which who decides to stay again out on the circuit. Does not seem to be convinced by another caution to go in. And for the drivers who we mentioned who stayed out, this is exactly what they needed, because 4 of which remain in the top 5, including Michael Deitch there, who we saw had a little bit of a struggle on the opening few turns. Well, it looks like that struggle will not even come close to matching the unfortunate circumstance for Schaefer, Rowe, Palawada, Balderas, and a few others, including Aiden Walker, who just went down to pit road based on that incident. Multiple drivers now getting extensive repairs. Jim Thurston's going to be back on the way now, and it's going to be now that number 96 team back on the move. He'll be inside of the top 15 after 5 laps on his stint. He comes down to pit road yet again. Most drivers have gone in at least twice today so far. River Page, one of which was decided to go in for the only one occasion in which we had a green flag run. Otherwise, the drivers have been running a very similar strategy to this point, but I have a feeling now that with the incidents that we've had, that is due to change. A few retirees from 19th on down. Hunter Bogdan, 17 laps down, 37 laps down for Brendan Dugan. You have Marcus Vanderlei, 39 down, and then 45 back. Jacques Carter in the 006. So some drivers tonight have already had to bow out. Of course, some circumstances not under their control. As you saw there, another big incident, but for most of which involved, they did not take a fast repair previously. So as a result, caution's going to fly yet again, 3rd time on the day, and we will go back green at lap number 60 out of 120. Jacob Wilkerson up to the highest spot he's been in all night long, getting himself up in a P2. We mentioned previously that he started tonight in the 16th position, so a night that has been filled with struggle since the very beginning. Now Wilkerson getting a chance to sort of recover from how the night was and hoping to turn it into a positive here with the rest of the race ahead. In this first half, he's made it up from the middle of the field up into 2nd, so with that being said, he's far from done, and in all honesty, he might just be getting started. Only one more position to gain, though, and it's always the hardest of which to find. That will be the race-winning position. Position number 1. Can he get it done? That remains to be seen, but now Wilkerson on the same lap age tire as leader Page and Michael Mitchum behind. things are going to be different here as drivers get back to work for lap number 60. 1 lap to green this time by. And it's going to be Page going down to the inside, Jacob Wilkerson right back up top, and we are ready to roll once again. It'll be the 24 down low, the number 43 on the high side, Michael Mitchum, Daniel Mosteller, positions 3 and 4, and it's time again to go racing here in Kansas. Second half coming right at you, live on FTN, 180 miles, 120 laps. And it's about time that we go racing here to finish the job and figure out who has what it takes to collect the checkered flag in Tornado Alley. Very few times do we have this opportunity, of course, to get a second half uninterrupted. Coming in exactly at lap number 60 here, it's all up to the drivers if they want to have it clean and green from this point. A few minor incidents have gotten in the way until we saw that massive wreck just 5 laps ago. And as we go racing once again, it'll be River Page and Jacob Wilkerson, positions 1 and 2. Chase Schaefer now further back than he's been all night long. He is in now the 16th position, all the way at the tail end. Alexander Balderas crab walking is going to find himself now in 16th, having already taken his faster pair. I am surprised he's still racing here, given how much damage there is. Nevertheless, it's time to bring on the second half. Green flags out again. River Page will bring us now into lap 60 of 120. Top 3 going to maintain themselves. New tires have not come in just yet. A lot of the reason for that, though, is going to be that these tires are quite cold, given the fact we haven't had those green flag laps in succession. Aiden Walker now going to be neck and neck now in a 3-wide spread. Jason Cimento, Nathan Palawada, Braxton Whitaker with a good move. That will put Braxton up into 8th here in a very competitive mid-pack. Not bad in the slightest here for that number 51, although he's going to end up jittering a little bit further behind. And now that will give Chase Schaefer a chance to make up another spot. Schaefer back up into 11th here with more still to come. Aiden Walker 9th, Nathan Palawada 8th, Aaron Schugel is in 7th, 61 laps in out of 120, 60 laps remain. And so now the halfway point, we have at last hit it. It's time to figure out what's left for strategy here. For the drivers who have come down to pit road in the last 10 laps, they should be able to go until maybe lap 100 here on their strategy call. Of course, that remains to be seen, of course, based on cautions, but if we stay under green, then yes, it should be up until lap 100, the possibility. But I feel that now, no matter what run of tire you're on, whether you're on the 20-lap stint or the 10-lap stint, you'll come down and into about lap 90 to try to split the stint dead even. That's going to put everyone back on that level playing field that we have stressed once again. Although the problem is, of course, that's not going to give any advantage to the drivers who are on the younger tire. As you can see, of all the drivers who are on 20-plus lap rubber, well, they've gotten away. Jacob Wilkerson right now runs in 4th. Mike Mitchum is in 2nd. River Page is in 1st. Maybe Daniel Mosteller is going to be a little bit more conservative with the way he's running lap after lap here, biding his time. And there's a possibility that is the mentality and the approach at hand. But I also find it troubling that he's not immediately clearly faster, especially given the fact that his tires are half the age. Perhaps, yes, the cold tires that have been caused by those yellow flags are the majority of the cause, but not a good look here for the 87 if this is not intentional, although I feel right now it's all going to be strategic from this point in the race until the very end. 64 laps in out of 120 to make it to lap number 65. Aaron Schugel looking not to replicate any minor incident. He's bobbled back and forth beforehand, and now he's hopefully going to have that change. The race leader, Aaron Schugel, well, he hasn't been all night long. We've seen him lead races at intermediate tracks before. His best ever IORA Cup Series effort was a podium in the Auto Club Speedway last season. A top 3 finish and perhaps the race-winning favorite before Alexander Balderas came through for his first career win. win. All the while now, Sean Rowe coming up on the back end of the 91, and now Schugel's got a little bit of pressure trying to defend on the bottom side. Schugel is going to almost force Sean Rowe down to the apron, but nevertheless, Rowe finds room. Now Demos is going to take that race lead, and we mentioned the 87 on new tire, looking for the top spot, but he can't quite hold it. River Page once again backing in front. That will give Mike Mitchum the chance now to slide back in second, and Daniel Mosteller from hero to zero in just about 2 turns time. He was up the lead, now falls back down to third, and interestingly enough, you can see on the bottom of the track there, allowing Alexander Balderas to continue. For some reason or another, Corbin Collins just goes down a pit road here. It looks like on his own accord after 14 laps. Alexander Balderas right now, if we took a look at driver telemetry, you would see that he is jamming on the throttle and only going at a speed of about 120 some miles an hour here. He's going to get back on the main straightaway, but you can see it looks like only 3 tires are connected to the ground and only 2 are pointing him in the right direction here. And one of which is, again, not touching the circuit at all times. It's a drift all throughout the racetrack. There's nothing else that Balderas can do now short of waiting for his time to get back on the track, but he is significantly slower. His last lap came in at a good 45 seconds, and Cooper Glick decides to cut it close there with the Balderas machine. So right now, he is 50% slower each and every lap and would be on pace to be lapped once every 2 laps. Alexander Balderas is going to see Demos and company already coming back around with some 52 laps to go. Demos ahead of Mike Mitchum, River Page in third, and then Jacob Wilkerson slowly but surely falling slightly behind. Take a look on board now with River Page as we ride on with the number 24 machine. It looks like right now, top 3 drivers very similar in their approaches, but River Page slightly different through turns 1 and 2. As you can see, taking it up a groove higher and now working it down the back straightaway. A little bit more momentum, and that's just enough now to carry it right to the back end of Mike Mitchum once again. Through turns 3 and 4, everyone has decided the inside groove is preferential. No matter who you are, it looks like the advantage is to stick it down on the bottom side. That's exactly what River Page does. But once again, as we take it through turns 1 and 2, you might see River Page more partial to that second groove rather than going all the way down to the floor of the track, as it's going to bring him a little bit more speed down the back straightaway. Taking a look once again, he's staying right on the tail end of Mike Mitchum and driving the track slightly different. Looks like the speed is paying off. Jacob Wilkerson also coming back into the frame as well. Wilkerson is on 29 lap old rubber, so he can only go some 10 to 15 laps more. Lap 80, lap 85. It's going to come down to whether or not the number 24 machine of River Page can hang on even as long as we've seen so far or longer. 40 plus laps looks to be the limit. No driver has attempted 50 tonight, and I don't think anyone will. Bryce Colder might be our first guinea pig, so to speak. He's been on a run now for 38 laps, and of course, he's coming up on what we expect to be the limit. See now the number 21 machine of Bryce Colder. 38 laps in, he is far, far behind. His last lap was a 32.8 relative to leader Daniel Mosteller. He is a second off the pace each and every lap. Demos is going to still be leading, 0.4 of a second behind is River Page. Mike Mitchum, though, now going to see Jacob Wilkerson cutting under. And we mentioned that while Mitchum has definitely been quick, he is also a rookie, does not have that experience here in the IORA Cup Series, and this is where that experience really comes into play. Understanding the circumstances, lap in, lap out, you cannot expect to be the fastest driver on one lap and have that as the most important factor of your night. Now it's going to be that number 24 machine of River Page coming into the picture again with Demos, and Jacob Wilkerson here with Mitchum, a long-term driver Jacob Wilkerson is, and it looks like, of course, for Mike Mitchum, maybe not well accustomed to that fact. He has been struggling more so to take the race lead or take positions in these final few laps of a stint, and this is when other drivers come into their best stride. Whether or not, of course, Mike Mitchum can continue to adapt in future races, remains to be seen. A very impressive first start, mind you, collecting the pole position, and not only collecting it, but taking it by a huge margin. Second, third drivers only separate by 1,000th, but Michael Mitchum able to expand that gap by 69 times. He won the pole position by 69 1,000ths of a second. So with that being said, Jacob Wilkerson cuts low, Mike Mitchum is going to be up high, and I think now that for the driver, the number 43, there's little else that can be done, but of course, just to wait. Jacob Wilkerson now has room, and he might be boxed off. Here comes now River Page backing up into the battle, and that's going to, of course, give more trouble to Mike Mitchum. Alexander Balderas is parked on the grass, and it looks like that will not be a threat to any other driver. He is off the racing surface, and no calls have been made to, of course, tow that driver out of pit road. Of course, into pit road and out of the grass, shall we say, as now Jacob Wilkerson finds himself with a little bit of a stalemate here. Momentum has been cut for the 38 and the 43 alike, and looks like, while previously anyway, Mitchum might have been a surefire loss for position. Now it's going to be toe-to-toe again, and coming up even closer, Chase Schaefer back in fifth. You can see now, slowly but surely, Chase Schaefer is back in the picture. Over the last 4 laps, he hasn't made any significant gains, but he has been able to keep it a very fixed distance to that of the leader up ahead. 1/10 of a second gain between lap number 77 and 78 here, but first he's got to get through this 3-wide spread. Now Wilkerson on the bottom, Mitchum in the middle, and River Page up top. Page is still losing time here. Mitchum still finds himself stuck in the middle. And I think now that for that number 43 of Wilkerson, he's got to get away. If he thinks he has the pace, if he does have the pace, there's only some 5 or 6 more laps until he comes down and in. Bryce Kohler, mind you, went 43 laps. When it comes down to, of course, that stint, didn't even get to 45, let alone 50. So now we've gotten to that final leg of the race. 80 laps in out of 120. The next pit cycle will determine, of course, who succeeds and who doesn't tonight. But we'd like to once again mention our partners at iRacing Motorsport Simulations for bringing you the action here from the virtual Kansas Motor Speedway and all throughout the virtual motorsport world. No matter what you'd like to race, from contemporary motorsport to historical racing, iRacing has you covered, not only in stock car racing, but open wheel action, road courses, dirt, on Overland Road alike. Visit iRacing.com for final summer membership discounts of over 30% before we move on to your holiday season. Black Friday coming in just a few months' time, where we are expecting some major discounts as well. And we'd love to see you on the iRacing platform racing against some of our favorites here in the IORA Cup Series. With 39 laps to go, you're watching live on FTN, the IORA Cup Series from Kansas Speedway. We'll be right back after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
37 laps remaining. Mike Mitchum, River Page, and Jacob Wilkerson, all of which still together here, and even Chase Schaefer now in the mix. He's within a quarter of a second now, and of course he finds himself just ahead of number 78, and Nathan Palawada has gotten even closer with this battle again. We rode on board previously with Chase Schaefer, but if we show you some driver telemetry, you'll understand even more so exactly what he's doing now. Don't expect to hear any clutching and coasting. Let's ride on board and see what we can find out. Putting power in, we are not expecting drivers to be saving fuel. Their next pit stop will get them all the way to the end, no matter when they decide to go down and in. And all throughout the focus on Mitchum and Page and Wilkerson and all those who have been fighting for second, look who's leading. And again, looking for his third win on the season, it will be Daniel Mosteller, who is going to keep up that dominant stretch that we saw from the very beginning of the season in Daytona. It looks like win number 3 would only be 35 laps away if he manages strategy correctly. The 87 has remained unstoppable. He was even solid at Bristol. He almost looked like the winning favorite at Bristol. And even then, he was just barely denied a chance at victory. Atlanta, Alexander Balderas was able to win outright. Bristol, it was a very, very close race. In that one, of course, Daniel Mosteller found himself the dominant man, leading more than 3/4 of the event, still did not come out with the victory. Regardless of that, it looks like already Kansas redemption for Daniel Mosteller, who has turned this season up another notch. Domination the likes of which we have only ever seen once, and it's fitting to see IORA's all-time winningest driver back in full form, and it looks like he's already making a charge for the championship that no driver can replicate. The regular season might be his before we hit November by the rate he's been racing at. Wilkerson looks to the bottom side now of River Page in number 24. Michael Mitchum is still going to be just ahead. Mitchum up to second, and of course we mentioned maybe he didn't have the opportunity to adapt to the way these drivers are going at it, but now it looks like Mitchum might have saved up his tires the best. Mind you, of all those who have gone down a pit road, almost 90% of the field has gone down more than once. Now, if you take a look at Daniel Mosteller, he's gone down twice. Mitchum, Wilkerson, Page are the real 3 anomalies. They've gone in only one time, then the rest of the field has gone in more than twice. The highest number of pit stop entries would be Jason Semedo, Jim Thurston. They've gone in 4 times apiece, so keeping that in mind, these are drivers who have certainly done things different, but nothing too major. We haven't seen anyone go in 5 times tonight. The only thing that we've seen is 4, 3, 2, or 1. However, for some drivers, their 5th pit stop is indeed coming up. By the time the race ends, though, you will not see drivers have less than 2 pit stops if they make it to the checkered flag anyway. Mitchum, Wilkerson, and River Page have now been on 47-lap runs, so maybe we're going to have to eat our words here and figure out exactly what's going on, because drivers have a great opportunity to perhaps go 50, 55 laps. Those caution laps might be most important. Mike Mitchum comes down and in this time by. Chase Schaefer does as well, but a very erratic entry, so 47 is the limit. 38, 24, 99, all of which come in this time by. 1, 2, 3 in order, and Sean Rowe making gains too. A very, very strong entry for Sean Rowe. He almost got up to the back end there of the 99 as Schaefer. Mind you, Daniel Mosteller, he might have an opportunity to come down and in whenever he pleases. He could go up to maybe 10 laps more. I think he's going to come in within the next 5 or 6 to equalize himself with his competitors. You can see the 87 now coming across the start-finish line. And now, here comes River Page, of course, all of which coming out of pit road. It looks like Page will get the jump on Schaefer, but Mike Mitchum beats all of which out, and so Michael Mitchum gets back on the way. It's the number 38 machine there with River Page, and while Page didn't get the lead out of pit exit, look at that, taking the preferred groove on the way out. River races back and ahead and brings Chase Schaefer with. So even on the way out, drivers are competing, and River Page able to take 2 spots as a result. Jacob Wilkerson now down pit road after a 49-lap run. Daniel Mosteller once again decides to stay out in the head here. He will remain alone. Samedo is going to be further on back, but it's going to be now Chase Schaefer, Mike Mitchum, and River Page, all of which together again. River sees that side-by-side battle, and he's going to fall further back. Chase Schaefer now coming up on Jacob Wilkerson, and Jacob just went down to pit road. So, like all the drivers he is around, this is a battle for position, although it says on the timing board, yes, these drivers are a lap down. This is still going to be a battle that matters for the rest of the race. Daniel Mosteller is holding up, of course, the timing and scoring loop as the race leader. He, Beaver Serrano, and Jim Thurston are the only of which who have decided to stay out. Demos is going to slide into pit road, locking it down, but that was risky. You could see him about 25 to 30 degrees sliding in the whole time. Luckily, of course, for Daniel Mosteller, he's going to make it in without incident, and now Jim Thurston will take over the race lead, at least temporarily now, as it's going to be Thurston ahead of the entire field by more than 10 seconds at the minimum. First and foremost now, here comes Chase Schaefer, Mike Mitchum, River Page. Jacob Wilkerson falls behind slightly, albeit Jacob does have 1 lap younger tires, so if he wants to go all out in the next 25 or so laps, that is something he can do. Let's see, of course, whether or not Chase Schaefer, Mitchum, and company can get away from him first and foremost, because now Daniel Mosteller is going to be put 1 lap down. And so here goes the 99, here goes the 38 and the 24. Even Jacob Wilkerson gets ahead. Mosteller has lost the race lead. Now he's got to earn it right back. And for Daniel Mosteller, overall, looked to be a very strong pit entry and exit alike. And now Demos gets back on the way. He spent 40.7 seconds in and out of pit lane, so not a significant difference from all those around him, even if his pit entry was a little bit more erratic. Now Chase Schaefer will have a chance to take the race lead within 5 or 6 laps, because Jim Thurston here is still on a 37-lap run and might be able to go a little bit longer if, of course, he would like. Let's find out what's next here for Thurston. He could decide to come down and in as recent as this time by, and it looks like he will be making the call to drop low and drop out of contention. Jim Thurston will relinquish the race lead. Chase Schaefer will come across the line and now has a chance to take the race lead back, and next time through will be 23 laps to go here from Tornado Alley. River Page is still about a half second behind. Michael Mitchum concludes the podium. Daniel Mosteller now is going to have to be on the charge up and ahead. He's about 4 seconds back now on the leaders, and it looks like this difference is clear. How, of course, will Daniel Mosteller make it back? It comes down to his 4-lap tire advantage. It's a deficit for the drivers ahead, but for the 87, he could use it to his advantage. Now, 23 laps to go, coming to 22 this time by. We'd like to once again thank TrackCams22.com for, of course, their continued support live on FTN, providing cameras for our cars and tracks in each and every race of the IORA Cup Series since Season 2 onward. Visit Facebook.com/TrackCams and TrackCams22.com to learn more, as we're now going to crank it up with iRacing's best cameras with 22 laps to go. Let's get loud here in Kansas. Jacob Wilkerson, what a save. Caution is out. Daniel Mosteller, minor contact there with the number 43, and now a yellow flag coming out after our final pit cycle. That could have gone much, much worse, and this is, of course, what happens. Aggression, last few laps, Mitchum in the wall, Daniel Mosteller, accidental contact, and Wilkerson doing a wonderful job sliding through the grass and saving himself up the track. He'll go. No other drivers involved. Mitchum and Daniel Mosteller both get away. 15 laps to go. I'm not expecting to see pit road populate itself once again. 106 laps in out of 120. That, of course, is up to River Page. And it looks like regardless of only a 15-lap run, everyone goes in, and they're going to go in all even. So nobody's going to have a tire advantage. Daniel Mosteller gets up to third. Now Mike Mitchum's up to fourth. Jacob Wilkerson only falls down 2 positions. So 14 laps to go here. Daniel Mosteller having a chance to once again take the race lead for what will be his 3rd victory of the season. Watkins Glen, 2nd victory. Daytona, he led this season off with his 1st, and he's been dominant so far today. The 87, though, does not win off pit road, and unsuspecting Jim Thurston finds himself up and ahead, and we have not seen all too much in the 96 tonight, and yet here goes Jim Thurston up to the top of the field. Unbelievable to see Thurston now advantageous. The Baker's Dozen coming up next. It'll be Thurston, Schaefer, Mosteller, River Page, and Mike Mitchum rounding up the top 5. With a little bit of time before we go green once again, we're going to step aside and thank some of our associates live on FTN for bringing the action to you. You're watching FTN, the IORA Cup Series, live from Kansas Speedway, and we'll return before we go green once again. We'll go back green with 11 laps to go, and we'll return right after this.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Chase Schaefer, Jim Thurston up at the head of the field with the 11 laps to go. It's about time now to figure out who's got the best, of course, left in them. It's going to be a short sprint, much like what we saw in the middle sector of this race. Everyone's on level tires. There is no advantage across the entire field. This is it. Thurston in the top position that he's been in all night long. Schaefer back up in front. Mike Mitchum now finds himself lower than he's been all throughout this race, down to 5th, and Jacob Wilkerson down to 7th after that pit cycle. Demos looking for win number 3. Everyone else here looking for what could be their first. Green flag out once again. 11 laps left here in Kansas. Thurston gets the jump all the way on the high side. The 96 gets us moving again. And looks like Chase Schaefer ever so slightly loose. Mike Mitchum now going to head down low. 3 wide, and there's no escaping Mike Mitchum. Schaefer tries to throw that block. It does not succeed. But it looks like for Mike Mitchum, he's going to back down again. The number 24 machine of River Page is going to get just ahead, and it's side by side. Now further on back, it's the battle between Mitchum and Daniel Mosteller. Toe-to-toe for P number 4. The race EPIs, Mike Mitchum making a huge impact tonight. Daniel Mosteller though loose on the high side, scrubbing the wall, and now Mosteller is out of immediate contention. Sliding in the back, Cooper Glick, we stay green. Now Nathan Palawata's trying to get ahead of the number 87, and here goes Daniel Mosteller working to the top side. All the while, Nathan Palawata making it through. He's got himself up and ahead. Here goes the 87, and as Daniel Mosteller decides to cut down to the bottom side, he'll get momentum once more, but he's going to have to push like hell for any chance at the win. Now River Page ever so slightly tagging the wall. Maybe Daniel Mosteller, he'll still have something left. Mike Mitchum right there too. Demos, Nathan Palawata now going to go at each other for the final spot in the top 5. Looks like now Palawata's got the advantage. He's going to go down to the inside, and he's got himself, of course, a chance to cut down low. Sean Rogan and Jacob Wilkerson and company here for the final spots in the top 10, but Jim Thurston is running away. He's got himself now the race lead for the first time all night long. Again, Thurston has come out of nowhere. In the last 4 laps, he has been the leader, and overall, he has led 10 laps on the night. Out of 113 that have been completed so far, Thurston has not been the dominant driver, but it looks like the former champ is coming to his own very early in the season. Thurston is now going to have a chance to pick up his second win, but here comes Mike Mitchum, less than 1/10 of a second away. The pole sitter who's only led 1 lap all night long, he's about to change that. Mitchum goes low. Mike in the number 38 slides to the inside, and he comes right there with Thurston up top. Toe-to-toe, Mitchum now having the head full of steam will take the race lead again with 6 laps remaining. The rookie is back up in front, looking for a chance to be a first-time winner in Season 6. Taking it away from the veterans, Thurston's going to slide ever so slightly, and he's going to get real loose on the exit of 2, still carrying a load of momentum, as does Chase Schaefer. Daniel Mosteller falls back to 8th. It looks like another dominant night going to fade away, as did Bristol. Meanwhile, here comes the number 99 once again, coming up on Jim Thurston. Mike Mitchum might have the lead right now, but what's left of it for the 38? It all comes down to whether or not Schaefer has a chance to pull through. Schaefer ever so slightly in the wall, just a mild tap. He's still got enough momentum now to maybe charge after second. Meanwhile, Nathan Palawata is up to 4th, and he's only a 1/4 of a second behind now Schaefer and Thurston alike. Mike Mitchum, 4 laps to go. He's got himself up and ahead, and it looks like right now there's no stopping him. The pole sitter has been waiting all race long for this, and it looks like now in the dying laps of this event, everything comes full circle. Not to say that Mike Mitchum has not been here, because he's only led now 5 laps. Well, he's been here since the very beginning, inside the top 5 for the majority of the race. And it looks like now, at a low of 7th place, well, he's been top 10 no matter what lap you've been counting. But all of a sudden, Mitchum is your race leader. 3 laps to go this time around for Mike Mitchum. He's up and ahead. Then you got Jim Thurston, and then you got Chase Schaefer. High side is going to be River Page trying to get back on Nathan Palawata, but Nathan has a load of speed now at the tail end of this race. And he finds himself in fourth on merit here. He got by Daniel Mosteller and now is able to make enough moves to get just behind Jay Schaefer. We'll see whether or not Nathan can get anything further here. Schaefer is still firmly in third, but Mike Mitchum is getting away. 0.4 of a second, 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks here for the number 38. There's Jim Thurston. He finds himself in second. Chase Schaefer is in third. And look at this. Mike Mitchum for Elite Performance Industries. The rookie has come alive tonight. And now he's only got himself 6 more turns. Caution's out. We're going to overtime. Daniel Mosteller is backwards. And hold the celebration. The 87 of Demos involved in what could be our final incident of the day. Sean Rowe rubbing that number 87 once, twice, and turning him around up into the wall. Front end damage for Demos, and that will be irreparable. Remember, Daniel did take his one and only fast repair earlier in the day, so as a result, 3 laps to go here, and Mosteller will not have a chance to instantaneously fix everything up. Can you believe it? We're going to have ourselves an overtime finish here in Kansas, and the word is in, we will be racing at Kansas again in about an hour's time. Highline Racing League going to be coming back to Kansas, and they're going to be returning once more. 3 laps to go. Make it 2 laps to go this time by. Up top goes to 38. Jim Thurston decides to go down to pit road again. But Thurston decides to go in. He'll bring Sean Rowe, Beaver Serrano, Michael Deitch, and River Page. Daniel Mosteller with 3 to go here, and it looks like a split in perspective. Mitchum, Schaefer, Palawada, they decide to stay out. Thurston, Mosteller, Page, all decide to go through to pit road. So it's a 50-50 split here for our first green-white checkered attempt. The American Ethanol back straightaway sees Michael Mitchum as your race leader. As it stands, well, we find ourselves now beyond the 120-lap threshold tonight. 3 laps to go, and this race will be extended beyond our original point of finish. So we have 3 green-white checkered attempts. If we go beyond the white flag, the race is official no matter what. We cannot at all finish the event with another caution. White flag is it. You get to the checkered flag next lap no matter what. If there's a white flag, of course, means there's no other cautions. If there's a caution, then it means we'll extend the race again up to 2 more times. If we get to our 3rd and final overtime attempt and there's a caution, the race will end. And that will be it. Three laps to go this time by. It'll be 2 next time around when we go green, and a green-white checkered dash. It's going to see Mike Mitchum with a chance for his first ever victory. Nathan Palawada also up in 3rd for what could be his first career podium. Number 78 machine, well, he's got himself up and ahead. Perhaps there's an opportunity now for him to hold it here. Jacob Wilkerson is just behind. Aiden Walker is going to be there, the 93 in 5th. Jason Cimento 6th. Jim Thurston, P7. Choose rule this time by going to be enacted one last time in this event. We'll see whether or not Mitchum decides to go low or stick to the ceiling here. It could go either way. So Mike Mitchum, he's got a choice, high or low. And the answer for the number 38 machine as we cross past that start-finish line, back to the bottom, Mike Mitchum goes low. He'll bring Chase Schaefer, Nathan Palawada, Jacob Wilkerson up top. It's a 50-50 split. Palawada right now, well, he's deciding for an opportunity, of course, to go for the victory. Could be his first ever. Nathan Palawada, Jacob Wilkerson just behind. He's there in 4th. Wilkerson's done a pretty good job today, of course, of staying up in front, had to slide through the grass to keep himself together. Now he's here again, ahead of Mosteller, ahead of Page, ahead of Thurston, Schaefer, and Mike Mitchum remains the titans of this race. That still stand. We'll see who's the last standing, though, in just a few moments' time. 2 laps to go coming up next for our first overtime attempt of the day. And so the iRacing official pace car will duck down low once again. Mike Mitchum, Nathan Palawada, positions 1 and 2. Let's see now what Mitchum can do. This jump means everything here. You get to the white flag in only a half minute's time. You best get your very first jump as your best. Green flag gonna fly again. Inside line stacked up ever so slightly, but Nathan Palawada is gonna get stacked up the most. Mitchum, Schaefer, Walker, they all get away. 1, 2, 3, and with them, here comes Jim Thurston shooting out like a rocket. The 96 now with new rubber already up to third, and he's coming up on Chase Schaefer, glued down to the track. Mike Mitchum now going to have himself just over a lap and a half to complete. When he gets the white flag, this race will be official. 1 lap to go, this time by, and as they come past the start-finish line once again, Schaefer, he finds himself back in third. The only thing he can do is watch now. Can Jim Thurston, with his new rubber, a significant advantage in tire, hold on and hold fort against Mike Mitchum. Mitchum now going to pull through turns 1 and 2, significantly slower off the exit of the corner. Jim Thurston looks low. Mike Mitchum looks lower. Jim Thurston looks lowest. Side by side through turns 3 and 4. Thurston is loose, as is Mike Mitchum. Both drivers drift up the track, but the 38 will stand strong. The rookie who collects the pole wins the race. 15-year-old Mike Mitchum wins from Kansas. Thurston just a 1/10 of a second away from coming away with his second consecutive, and Chase Schaefer rounds out the podium. Nathan Palawada, career best in 4th. Just like that, this race is over. Checkered flag is out here in Kansas. What a race it was. And we're going to be right back for your top 3 interviews and overall race result after our following message from iRacing Motorsports Simulations.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
And what a race that was. Collecting the checkered flag tonight, it's going to be Michael Mitchum, the rookie, of course, first career pole, first career victory, and he'll get the job done over Jim Thurston in second, Chase Schaefer third, Nathan Palawada then in fourth. Fifth place going to be Aiden Walker with sixth and Jacob Wilkerson, seventh in Daniel Mosteller, Bryce Kohler eighth, and Sean Rowe P9, 10th River Page, 11th place of course going to be Aaron Schugel with Jason Sametto 12th and Michael Deitchen 13th, with Beaver Serrano 14th, Braxton Whittaker in 15th, and Cooper Glick P16. 17th is Alexander Balderas with Corbin Collins 18th, and Hunter Bogdan P19 with Brendan Dugan then in 20th. 21st, Marcus Vanderlee. 22nd, Jacques Carter with Zach Cervino then in 23rd, and Connor Mirabelli 24th and last on the night. A fantastic victory overall for a race winner that we've seen in many other series, but never have gotten the chance to see him here in IORA. But tonight, he came out and performed to the best of his ability, and a wonderful race it was for Michael Mitchum. He got the job done tonight, and of course, a race winner for the first time here in his IORA Cup Series career. It's about time now that we get a word with the driver of the number 38 and speak to him about tonight's event. Surely a lot to say as a first-time driver at the top of the board. Let's now bring in your race winner, number 38 machine, Michael Mitchum, and speak to the entirety of your top three momentarily. First and foremost to be the number 38, Michael Mitchum, getting the job done here from Kansas. You got the pole position, ended up winning the race as well. Michael, how are you feeling?
Feel good, man. That was a blast of a race. Yeah, this was my first start in IORA. I wanted to run it for a while and just never got around to it. So I decided to do it tonight, and man, it was a blast.
And overall, able to get your, of course, first opportunity in IORA. Pole position, you won it by 69 one-thousandths of a second. So first and foremost, you came away with a massive jump in pace, but you didn't lead all too many laps. So I want to talk about your strategy before the overtime, because you only spent about 10 laps as the leader over the course of the first 120.
Yeah, it had a lot to do with me thinking the saving would be a lot better. The tire fall off just wasn't as detrimental as I thought it would be. That's how Thurston held on for a good bit with two, because it wasn't that bad, or not nearly as bad as we thought it would be. So once I got in the groove and realized that pushing would be like the better strategy, that's what I was doing. But early on, I was focusing on saving the tires and not letting them overheat too much, and that did not work very well, to my surprise.
Looks like tonight, nighttime conditions. Last time this series went to Kansas, it was daytime. So you think that had any impact on the way the tires performed?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's really what made this race. I mean, there was definitely a lot of people complaining about that, but I think that's what made this such a good race, and it was. I mean, we were side by side for a very long time. It was definitely a lot of good fun. But yeah, I think the nighttime had a lot to do with that. It would have been a completely different race if it was daytime, and I'm honestly pretty thankful that it was nighttime.
And it looks like, of course, everything works out in the last overtime, in which you had the speed to hold off Jim Thurston, who had newer rubber. What was it like for you on those last two laps, knowing you might have been at the disadvantage, even though, of course, you had track position?
Yeah, the caution, dude. I was even in VC talking to them. I was pretty discouraged by the caution. That hurt my feelings a little bit, but I thought we would be okay because there was about 8 to 10 cars on old tires, and I didn't think Thurston would get up very quick. And lo and behold, by literally turn like 2 or something, he was already in front of Schaefer. So by then I was just like, okay, I gotta defend, because I was noticeably slower in 1 and 2, and Thurston even said he did make a little mistake there, not running the top, and that's really what won me the race. But I just had to defend as hard as I could right there. It wasn't going to be mine.
And it looks like that defense worked out. Checkered flag is yours tonight, Michael, and your first time here down on the Thursdays. What's up next on the campaign? Of course, for you, this is your very first race. Next up on the schedule for us after Kansas, it's going to be Charlotte, so more intermediate racing. You think that's going to suit your racing style?
Yeah, I love Charlotte in the Xfinity car, so I'm very, very excited for that. I'm 100% going to run this league more often, maybe every Thursday, because I mean it was genuinely just a really good time. So
And it's great to have you here, Michael, collecting your very first win in pole position alike. Checkered flag here from Tornado Alley. Any last shout-outs or final thoughts you'd like to give?
Yeah, I just want to give a big thanks to all the fans watching. I hope I put on a good show. Hope everybody put on a good show. Want to give a big thanks to my mom and my dad for getting me where I am, and also racecpi.com. Make sure to check them out. The fastest sets there are. So if you want to be fast, go over there. And yeah, that's about it. Very fun race.
Just like that, checkered flag, first-time starter, first-time winner, Michael Mitchum, getting it done here for EPI in the number 38. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, too.
Michael Mitchum on the move, second place tonight, a very familiar face who almost got 2 consecutive victories. The last lap made all the difference. Jim Thurston second on the night here from Kansas. Oh, so close to making it back-to-back after a Bristol victory. How did you feel out there as we went back to Tornado Alley? Of course, you won in Season 4. Almost got it done again.
Honestly, I could be a lot more upset about that than I am, but that race was so bad for me. I think that I'm just happy to say that we could have won that race, because that just it wasn't a good race for us. We didn't practice. The only experience I have with this car here since it was updated was in NR night, and that was a day race. And yeah, just I love the way the car drives now. I just need to get more used to it. And yeah, just thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports for the fast race car. We tried every single different type of strategy we could have possibly played, and it almost worked out for a victory, but, second ain't too bad. I don't know how many we've had this season, but I feel like we've had a lot of them.
Well, a very good, of course, end result, but we were going to talk about that as, of course, the race progressed. You were finding yourself on the bottom steps of the top 10, let alone the top 5 or the podium, so it looked like some early struggles, different conditions compared to when you won at this track, and, of course, a completely different car. How did you feel it was coming back on the Xfinity cars rather than, of course, a victory where you had it in the next gens?
I got really, really good at this combo before the Xfinity car was updated, after that race we had last season, and then they went and updated the car. So I had to kind of relearn everything that I knew about this combo, and yeah, I feel like it races more like it should. You can use all the lanes. You don't just stay super dedicated to one really, really weird line the entire race, because that's just not how it really goes in real life. You can route the bottom and be quick. You can run the middle and be quick. The top doesn't really work because the car just bottoms out a lot, but yeah, just a fun race there. I'm just glad that we could end up bringing it home up front, even if probably the average running position was like 10th.
And all things considered, getting that good end result came down to pit strategy at the very end. You went in for tires, got yourself a new set, and almost had a chance to beat Michael Mitchum there. How confident were you on those last 2 laps?
I was confident that I was going to win the race, and then I stayed committed to the low side too long going into the last corner. I should have went high when he went to block low the first time, and I think I would have had him. But he blocked me all the way to the apron, and right there was 2 ways that could have ended. Either we both wreck and none of us win, or we keep it clean and finish 1-2. So I'm just glad that we could have kept it clean there, and he did a good job defending. I'm not even mad about it. I think he's going to be fun to race if he keeps racing.
And so, just like that, well, we move on to our second intermediate, which is going to be Charlotte up next. So, with that in mind, Thurston, you think you can bring back that pace we saw last season and the season prior at 1.5 miles again?
Yeah, I think we can. I think this car, it's so much fun to race now. You can do so many different things with it and push people around with the air. I think it's going to fit me really well as we move forward. And even if it doesn't, I just like driving this car a lot because of the way it is. And I'm just glad that we can do this every Thursday night, and just glad to be fast.
Jim Thurston coming through second place on the day for Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And so with Thurston on the move, we'll move on last, but of course certainly not least, Chase Schaefer, who had a great night, dominant early on, trading places with the likes of which including, well, of course, your top 2 finishers, although it looks like Chase Schaefer is not immediately available. We'll ask him right now for an interview and see if he has any comment he'd like to give. Schaefer coming home, of course, third on the day tonight, up inside of the top 3. He found himself a fantastic, of course, competitor, but wasn't able to get it done in those tail end laps. Involved in an incident, but it looks like now he'll be talking to us here in the broadcast booth. P3, Chase Schaefer, another strong result at the intermediates, as we've come to expect from you. Overall, Kansas, a track we've been to before, but never have we seen it in nighttime conditions, and you thrived, especially in the first half of the race.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting race. I wish we had a little bit more pace. I think at the end, uh, just that left rear damage that we got, I made a pretty heinous block on River, and kind of did that just to keep in the race. But that kind of really messed us up, given that the downforce was very important there, given how loose that car was. And yeah, that first stint, I really wish that went green. We were in a really good position. Same with the second one. That caution I definitely needed, but yeah, it was a fun race. I wish the car drove a little bit different. I wish I was just a little bit better, but yeah, we'll get a win here at some point.
And getting oh so close to finding victory once again, Chase. Got to talk first and foremost. Track positions seem to be critical tonight from the very beginning. Starting up inside of the top 3 and holding yourself up there for the majority of the night. How important did you feel it was for you to get that strong qualifying run and its impact on the rest of the race?
I thought it was pretty important. I'm kind of surprised I did as well as I did. I wish I would have gotten pole. That bonus point would have been nice, but but yeah, we did really well. I haven't really done any officials with this combo this week, so the performance tonight was pretty nice.
So with that, even if it wasn't as much practice as maybe you would have liked, still coming away with a strong finish there. Green, white, checkered, ANSI Racing, we've seen time and time again. How was it for you navigating those final laps and eventually coming away still in third?
I honestly didn't realize that Thurston was so far ahead with those new tires. So once I saw him, I was like, yeah, it's over. I kind of set myself up for that last corner in case they wrecked, which they didn't. Wish they wish they did, but yeah. I wish I could have not slid the tires on that restart. I think that really did not help me at all. And also wish the incident with River didn't happen. That rear end downforce kind of going away was not helpful at all.
Nevertheless, able to come away with another strong result here. Chase Schaefer, Charlotte is up next to continue our mile-and-a-half run. Overall, strong race, and of course, I'm sure you're looking for more up next. Any last shout-outs or messages you'd like to give?
No, follow Monster Designs on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, looking forward to Charlotte. Hopefully, the car's a little bit tighter than it was tonight, but if not, we'll go along with it.
So, 99 team, Chase Schaefer coming away third here from the Kansas Speedway. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Chase Schaefer comes away P3 here. It'll be Jim Thurston in second and Michael Mitchum getting the job done for his first career victory in the number 38. A wonderful way to, of course, kick off his IORA career, a first-time race winner. And when it comes to FTN, we're not done with Kansas. In about a half hour's time, the Highline Racing League will begin getting back to work once again here from Tornado Alley. We'll be here momentarily as it's going to be Kansas Speedway up next on the calendar for the Highline Racing League. And you've just watched exclusive coverage live on FTN here from the virtual Kansas Speedway. 120 laps of racing in the IORA Cup Series 5th race of Season 6. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. If you want to tune in for more FTN events, make sure to scan the QR code on your screen and join the FTN Broadcasting Discord channel so you can stay up to date with all FTN action throughout each and every one of our series from Monday to Sunday and everywhere in between. Thank you for tuning in tonight live on FTN, watching coverage of the IORA Cup Series. We hope you have a fantastic night.